Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canine Karmas and Ready Set Trains online orientation. My name is Max Michon, and I will be your instructor for your upcoming session. I have been training since 2012, and I have certifications through a couple of different organizations. I have a bachelor's in psychology from the University of Toledo. I am a certified trainer through Karen Pryor Academy, and I am also skills and knowledge assessed through CCPDT, the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. In our orientation, we're going to go through some class rules. We're going to talk about the procedure for entering and exiting the class, things you should bring with you. We're going to go over some canine body language, and we are going to give you guys a couple of homework assignments to practice before your first session with your dog. Our class rules, there's nothing crazy. We'll go over that now. We ask that you arrive to your class on time, so make sure you look up your designated start time for your specific class. If you are more than 15 to 20 minutes late, I have the right to turn you away. When people come in late, it's a little disruptive to everybody else that is already in the class. The dogs get a little distracted, and I have to catch you up. And if you are more than 20 minutes late, at that point, you've missed almost half of the content of the class. So we have the right to turn you away. We ask that you wear appropriate clothing for training. So no high-heeled shoes, no sandals. We're going to be up and moving around with the dogs quite a bit, and we don't want anybody falling down, getting tangled up, hurting themselves or hurting any dog. So just wear appropriate clothing for training. This is a big one. No dogs are allowed to meet on leash. So keep your dogs at least 6 foot apart while entering and exiting the classroom. And then while we're doing training exercises, if you are in an orientation for our Puppy Start Right class, there will be a designated portion at the end of class where the puppies will get to interact and play with each other, but we don't want them meeting on leash. Humans are also not allowed to just run up to any dog that they see in the class. Not every dog is comfortable with a new person coming up to them. And we also don't want the dogs practicing bad behaviors like jumping on new people. So in each class, we have designated training exercises that are designed to teach the dogs how to appropriately interact and make sure that nobody is scared or overwhelmed. We do not allow any physical punishment. If you hit or harm your dog, if you excessively scare them, we have the right to dismiss you from the class, and we will do that immediately. We do not allow any retractable leashes, no prong or choke collars, shock collars, bark collars, or any of those types of devices are allowed in class. Our goal is to use positive methods and teach the dogs the behaviors we want them to do. Whatever equipment you use, make sure it's securely fitted to your dog before coming to class. We recommend martingale collars or front clip harnesses as they give you more control and it is more difficult for the dog to escape them. For a collar, you should pull that collar up to right behind the dog's ears, the thinnest part of their neck, and be able to get 2 fingers between the dog's neck and the collar, but you should not be able to move your fingers around very much. If you can, that collar could slip over their head. For a harness, you check the fit behind their legs at the thickest part of their chest, and it should be the same thing. You can get 2 fingers, but not move those fingers around too much. If your dog is sick or has diarrhea 48 hours before class, we ask that you please not bring them to the session as, again, we have puppy classes and those dogs may not have completely received their full set of vaccinations. We also don't want any sickness getting spread to any of the other dogs in the class. So if your dog is vomiting or has excessive diarrhea at least 48 hours before, we ask that you not bring them. You are still allowed to attend without your dog, or we can always schedule a makeup lesson, 20 to 30 minutes, and we can go over the content that you missed. What should you bring to class? First, a hungry dog. So either feed your dog after class or maybe feed them half of their meal if your dog is hungry. If they're a little more food motivated, that will help our training. We will provide a treat pouch for everyone. But if you have your own treat pouch, we recommend using that. Bring some high-value food with freeze-dried kibble or treats, chicken, cheese, hot dogs, something high value that your dog will want to work for. We ask that you bring a second small container for us and you put your dog's name on it. When you enter our building, right when you walk in the door, there will be a desk directly in front of you. That's where you'll place your treats. We just use those treats if we are going to interact with your dog, use them for a demo, or have other people do greetings. That way your dog is not getting a bunch of random treats throughout the class that could make them have an upset stomach. We ask that you bring a small mat or blanket or towel for your dog to lay on, and then some kind of long-lasting chew, a bully stick, a tendon, stuffed Kong, something that your dog will want to interact with. So when we first start class, you can give your dog that as the other dogs are entering the building, or in between exercises, you can also give your dog that so they can settle and it's easier for you to pay attention. Bring some poop bags to clean up after your dog and a clicker, which we will also provide for you. The final thing is to make sure, again, to have a properly fitted collar or harness and a leash no longer than 6 feet. Have your wrist through the handle. Make sure that your dog is securely handled at all times. Sanitation. We require proof of vaccines, age appropriate, rabies and DHLPP, and also a negative fecal exam for every dog that enters our training center. Please be sure to potty your dog in the appropriate area across our parking lot. We try to avoid the area directly in front of our door. Other businesses are around, and out of respect, we try not to have a bunch of dogs pooping and peeing directly in front of the building. So again, go across the parking lot to the large field, and you can have your dog pee, or if they need to poop, go over there. If your dog does poop outside, please make sure you have your poop bags with you and you're cleaning up after your dog. We have a designated poop trash right outside our door that you can dispose of your dog's waste. Please help us keep our studio clean by wiping your feet and having your dog walk across all of the rugs as you enter the studio. Then also try to avoid any very muddy or wet areas while you're walking your dog outside. If your puppy pees or poops or pukes in class, please notify either myself or one of our assistant trainers, and we will immediately come and clean it up. We have special vet grade cleaner and a solution that gets rid of any smell, so we make sure that we clean that up in an appropriate way. If possible, try to have your dog avoid walking through the mess. How should you come into class? Arrive a few minutes early. If you get there 5 to 10 minutes, this allows you enough time to potty your dog. And then also when you come into class, give them a couple of minutes to settle in. I always tell everyone, if you arrive right at the designated start time, that's when I'm going to start class, and your dog may still be a little excited or amped up. So it's important that we allow our dogs enough time to settle. Wipe your feet and your dog's paws on all of the rugs. Enter with your treat pouch on your body and your hand through the handle of your leash. You should be prepared before you enter the building. The time to get your treat pouch on, make sure that you have your dog secured, is not when you walk in the class and there's already a bunch of dogs in the room. You should do this as you get your dog out of the car. Place your small extra bag or container of treats on the front desk. When you directly walk in, you will see that desk. Be sure to have your leash around your wrist, and you make sure that you've checked your dog's fit before entering. Do not allow your dog to say hi to any of the other dogs in class. Remember, we have a 6-foot rule. We will direct you to a station, and once you get there, you can get out your mat or your bed or your blanket and your long-lasting chew or treat and direct your dog to interact with that. Do not let them get hyperfixated on any dogs that are coming in the room. Use treats and distract them until we start our training exercises. These are the things that we're going to go over for the rest of the orientation. So we're going to go over a little bit of canine developmental periods, some canine body language, talk about how dogs learn, go over some management and positive reinforcement training methods, and then talk about meeting our dog's needs. Development, 3 to 16 weeks, is the most influential period, known as the primary socialization window. Within the primary socialization window, every dog between 8 to 10 weeks of age goes through their first fear period. During this time, they are hypersusceptible to different people, stimuli, events becoming bad or scary. Some dogs, not all dogs, will go through a secondary fear period somewhere between 6 months to a year and a half. Not all dogs go through this fear period, and certain breeds are more predisposed to going through a second fear period, including herding breeds, guarding breeds. During this time, you will notice that your dog is hypersensitive to fears and phobias again. I give the example that you could be walking down the street and all of a sudden the fire hydrant that had been there every day on your walk all of a sudden becomes terrifying, or your dog sees a person that they never used to react to and start to react to them. There was a sound that they're all of a sudden freaked out about. So you'll notice a sudden change in their behavior related to fear, phobias, and stress. A second fear period can last anywhere between 2 weeks to 6 weeks. So during that time, it's very important, if your dog goes through it, to create lots of positive experiences again. Most dogs reach social maturity somewhere between 2 to 3 years of age. At this time, most dogs calm down in their energy and behaviors can start to solidify at that time. So it's very important to do lots of positive exposure and training before your dog reaches social maturity so we can make sure that we create well-balanced dogs. We're going to talk about canine body language next. So how do our dogs communicate with us? Through their body language and through their behavior. So we think it's very important for you guys to know at least the basics of canine communication. In these next few slides, we're going to go through a bunch of different parts of the dog's body. So in this slide, we're talking about the mouth, and then we will rank these behaviors on a scale of red or stop, which means there's a high level of stress, aggression, things like that, that we would want to give that dog space, stop what's happening to the dog because they are in a bad mental state. We have caution, which are lower level stress behaviors that we should pay attention to. And then we have green, go behaviors that the dog is totally fine. So we'll go through all of these different pictures and talk about what the dog is doing in relation to their body language and behavior. So if you look at the screen, the dog on the left, the little Chihuahua or Min Pin, and the dog on the right, the Lab, are both doing threat displays. They are showing their teeth, but the motivation behind their behavior is very different. So you can see the dog on the left is got its teeth bared. It's got a whale eye, which you can see the whites of their eye. Their ears are pinned back. That head is down. It's hard to see, but the tail is a little tucked underneath its body. That dog is afraid. So it's doing a threat display trying to say, stay away. If we don't push that dog, if we don't get in its face, that dog is not likely to outwardly go after us, try to bite us, chase us, do things like that. The dog on the right, however, is not scared. Its ears are forward. It's directly squared up. It's doing a hard stare. And it is also baring its teeth, but it is more proactively aggressive. So that dog would be more likely to go out and bite. The dog in the middle is doing something called stress panting. So there's a whole category of behaviors called displacement behaviors. Displacement behaviors are naturally occurring behaviors that happen out of context. It's normal for your dog to pant if they're hot or if they've been exercising. If those two things are not happening, your dog is probably panting because of stress. So look out for, we'll go through a bunch of different displacement behaviors as we go through this presentation. Yawning is another displacement behavior. So it's normal for your dog to yawn if they just wake up from a nap or if they're getting tired. If you walk towards your dog with a pair of nail clippers and they yawn, it's because they're stressed out. tightly closed mouth. So if your dog is tightly closing their mouth, you will see wrinkles on their face or around their eyes. And it's kind of the equivalent of a dog or a person clenching their jaw. There's a lot of stress in that situation. That is a caution behavior. Lip licking or flicking their tongue up towards their nose is another displacement behavior. So it's, again, normal if you got a steak dinner in front of your dog and they're licking their lips. If you try to pick up your dog's paw and they turn their head away and lick their lips, that's a stress behavior. So lip licking is a lower level stress response. And then I always like to say, like, these dogs to me all look like they're happy, like they're smiling. So their mouths are slightly open, their eyes are soft, their heads are turned, their bodies are not stiff. So these are behaviors that we would like to see: happy, relaxed, no tension in the face. These are go or green behaviors in relation to the mouth. Eyes, all these dogs are doing something called hard stares. So you will know it's a hard stare when the dog is kind of locked onto something. It's very difficult to break the dog's attention when they're doing a hard stare. They might put their head down, like all of these dogs are. Their ears can go forward. Often they will start to hyperfixate on some sort of trigger or stimuli. So you'll see a general stiffness or stillness, slowly moving of their body. Again, their head may be lowered. Their tail could also be lowered, or it could go up in the air, depending upon the motivation behind the dog. Most dogs, when they start to get stressed, will do some avoidance behaviors. So looking away, sniffing the ground, all of that, if there's a stressful situation happening, is a stress-related behavior. A half moon eye, some people call this a whale eye, a crescent moon eye. That is when we see the whites of the dog's eye. So you can see in that picture that dog ears are a little bit pinned back, and you can see the whites of the eye. This usually happens in response to some higher level stress. If we see a whale eye, we want to stop what we're doing, because that could also lead to something called a freeze, where the dog completely stops moving. And a freeze, what happens after that is usually a bite or a reaction. So a whale eye, we want to pay attention to. We talked about it earlier with the mouth, but wrinkles in the face, if it's accompanied by a tightly closed mouth, that is a lower level stress sign. That means that dog's a little uncomfortable. And then once again, these dogs to me all look fairly happy and relaxed. They have soft eyes, their pupils aren't super dilated, they're not locked on, and they show other neutral body language. Their ears, their body, their mouths, they all are relaxed, showing no tension and no stress. Ears, we don't want extremes. So if your dog has their ears all the way pulled back against their head as far back as they can, kind of flat, that is often related to stress or anxiety, fear. So we don't want that. Other things you can see is the tightly closed mouth, hard stares, whale eye. So the dogs on the left and in the middle are both having their ears pinned back. The dog on the right is doing it one of those threat displays, similar to that first dog we saw, that lab, on the slide number 1 of our body language section here. Those ears are super far forward. That dog is doing a hard stare. It is getting ready to bare its teeth. So that is a threat display. We do not want ears pinned back. We do not want ears pinned forward. These dogs are all trying to get information. So they're either putting their ears up, out, or flicking them to try to listen to what's happening around them. These dogs could, when they get more information, calm themselves down, or they could become more stressed. That's why we say it's a caution. We should pay attention. First one is flying nun ears. The dog's putting their ears all the way out to the side. Alert ears. This is different than the previous slide where the dog was putting their ears forward. Alert ears, they're just putting them up, trying to listen. Moving ears, that dog would be flicking its ear kind of up and down, again, getting information. We want neutral ears. So I always tell everyone, pay attention to your dog when they're relaxed, when they're calm. And then that is their neutral ear carriage. Look for deviations. When do they start to put their ears forward and up? When do they start to pin them back? What does that mean in relation to their behavior and communication with us? So neutral, relaxed ears, and the same thing. open mouths, relaxed face, soft eyes that will accompany calm body language. Tail. Most people know that if your dog's tail is tucked, it's not good. That's related to fear or stress. Even if the tail is wagging, if it's underneath their body, if they're holding it down low, that is usually means that there's some sort of uncertainty, stress, or fear. We also do not want a dog that is wagging their tail and holding it straight up in the air. So if the tail is really far up, that is related to high levels of arousal, excitement, or even sometimes aggression. So a high flag tail is not good either. Dogs that stop moving their tail is something to be cautious of and pay attention to. The dog on the left is stalking something. So it is holding its tail straight out for balance, and it stops moving its tail to not alert the thing it's stalking. The dog in the middle is kind of locked onto something. It's not wagging its tail. It's holding it straight up. That is something to pay attention to because that dog looks very aroused. And then the dog on the far right doing some lip licking, ears are forward, tail is straight back and not moving. So we want to pay attention to a dog that stops moving its tail. We would like our dogs to have, again, just like their ears, a neutral tail carriage. So we do not want that tail super far up or tucked down. If they're wagging their tail, it should be in a loose circular motion. They should almost be kind of moving their whole body with that tail wag. Even dogs that are Spitz breed dogs or have curved tails, you can see them lower or raise it. It's harder. But if you look at the base of the tail where it comes off of their spine, they will raise or lower it at that point. This is what I always tell everyone to do when they first look at a dog, is look at the whole picture, look at the whole body, and kind of look at a couple different areas. You never want to just focus on one part of the dog's body. If you had someone tell you, oh, the dog's tail was wagging, but then they also said their hackles were up or their hair was standing up, they had wrinkles on their face, their mouth was tightly closed, that wouldn't necessarily mean that dog was happy, as opposed to if a person said their dog had their tail wagging, but their mouth was open, their eyes were soft, their body was loose and wiggly, that dog was probably happy. So same behavior, wagging tail, different context based on different parts of the body, different motivations of the behavior. So you want to look at the dog as a whole. So pay attention. Are they stiff? Are they moving slowly? Are they very squared up to something? Are they trying to put themselves over something? Or is there a lot of avoidance and fear? Are they trying to make themselves very small or completely get away from something they find stressful? Those are red flag signs. We don't want to see those types of behaviors. A dog that is starting to make themselves smaller, crouching, lowering their body or still movement. Shaking off is another displacement behavior. It's normal for your dog to shake off if they're wet. It's not normal if a stressful event is happening. So look at these. This means the dog is starting to get uncomfortable. We should pay attention to their stress levels. Finally, I always tell everyone, think about your dog when you come home. What do they look like? They're loose, they're wiggly, they're happy. We do not want tension, stiffness, rigid bodies. So dogs, their head, their tail, their spine should all be out of alignment. They should be kind of wiggly. Some dogs might even do a play bow or some distance decreasing behaviors like laying down, showing you their belly. Those are more social type behaviors that we can see from our dogs. And then I like to have everybody put their skills to the test. So as you look at this picture, what do you think is happening to this dog? Do you feel like this dog is agreeing, where it's totally fine and there's no stress at all? Do you think this dog is a caution, where maybe it's a little stressed out? Or do you think this dog is in the red zone, where we should probably stop what we're doing? And the way that I think about it is I go through all the different parts of the dog's body, and I kind of think about how many stress behaviors did I just list off? If I list off a lot of stress behaviors, more than maybe 2 or 3, that dog is probably more highly stressed and we should stop the situation. If we see just 1 or 2 behaviors, that is more of a caution and we should pay attention, but the dog is probably still okay. If we don't see any stress behaviors, then that dog is in the green. So as we go through this dog's body, what do you think? What do you see? The head, do we see wrinkles on the face? Do we see the ears pinned back? Do we see the mouth tightly closed? Do we see the head turning away? Do we see the tail tucked underneath the body and the dog kind of making itself smaller? So we listed off a lot of different stress behaviors there. In this case, we would categorize this dog, hopefully if I can change the slide, there we go, as being in the red. Now what about this dog? Go through the different parts of the body. What do you see with the ears? What do you see with the face, the mouth, the eyes, the tail, the body posture? Do we see lots of stress behaviors, or do we see a few? Do we see none at all? Based on this one, ears are forward, wrinkles in the face, hard stare, mouth tightly closed, body is squared up to something, tail is down. How many stress behaviors did we just list? If you're thinking, yep, we're in the red, you are correct. How about this dog? Do we think this dog is stressed out? Go through the different parts of the dog's body. Look at the overall posture. Mouth is open. Now, this dog is panting, but do we think it's related to stress? Or does it make sense for the situation? It looks like this dog is outside. It's probably hot outside. Could have been running around. Panting seems like it's more normal. We don't see a lot of wrinkles in the face. The ears are up, but they're not super far forward. The eyes are more soft. This dog has a slightly open mouth, kind of in that smiling motion. We would say this dog is okay. It's in the green. And then finally, how about this dog? What do we see? No tension in the face. The ears are somewhat neutral. The eyes are not locked onto anything, but the mouth is closed. So in this case, we might see one stress behavior. So the dog is probably not all that happy that the kid has it in a chokehold, but it doesn't seem like it's super stressed. So the only thing we could point to is maybe the mouth being closed. We would say this is maybe a caution, but we're not thinking that there's any real risk in this situation. This is what I always tell everyone. Be your dog's advocate. If you see that your dog is showing body language related to fear or anxiety or aggression, you need to step up and be your dog's advocate in those situations. Get them out of the situation or environment that is causing the reaction. Stop people or other dogs from overwhelming your dog when they need your help. If we are not our dog's advocate, they will eventually become their own. Many dogs learn to be aggressive or reactive because when they showed low-level stress or avoidance, nobody cared. But then the first time that they growled or lunged or barked at someone, the scary or bad thing tends to go away. So lots of reactivity, lots of aggression is actually based out of fear. And the dogs learn that these behaviors are effective to make the bad things in their mind go away. How dogs learn is what we're going to talk about next. So one way that they learn is through association. So if you want to pause this and read through some technical definitions, you can. But the way that I think about it is dogs are very good at connecting events. So most dogs, if they hear that food bowl come out and the kibble hit it, if that treat bag crinkles, they come running. Why? Because they know what those sounds predict. Food, treats, something good. When you get the leash out, most dogs get excited because they associate it with going for a car ride or for a walk. They have fun. The doorbell ringing, I learned over time that means that pesky delivery guy's come back again. There's a new person at the door trying to come in the house. So most dogs react to the doorbell and they know the place that people come in the door in relation to that sound. These events are directly connected together. If I were to disassociate that connection, let's say for the next year, I showed my dog the leash and I didn't take them for a walk. I just went and sat on the couch and started watching TV. Eventually, my dog is not going to be excited about the leash anymore because it's not connected with walks or car rides. So events have to be connected together for your dog to make an association. And this is one of the main ways that they will learn. So think about the connections that you see your dog or puppy making. The other type of learning, you can think of it as trial and error learning, or the technical term is operant conditioning. So again, if you'd like the technical definition, you can pause and read that here. So some examples of trial and error learning. Basically, if the dog tries something and it works for them, they're going to repeat it. If they try a behavior and it doesn't work, they are less likely to repeat that behavior in the future. So if your dog jumps on you wanting attention and you turn your back or walk out of the room, that's a bad consequence. The dog is less likely to do that behavior in the future. If a dog sits and you give them attention, that's a good consequence. Your dog is more likely to increase that behavior because it worked. If a dog whines and you start petting them, good consequence. Whining worked to get someone's attention. I'm more likely to do that again. If a dog offers eye contact and you give them a treat, good consequence. Your dog is more likely to increase that behavior in the future because of those good consequences that happened. So think about what behavior is your dog trying, and does a good or bad consequence follow that behavior? Excuse me. So what we do is positive reinforcement training. We want to reinforce our dog's good behavior and focus on what you want your dog to do. Hunt for good behaviors, and if you reinforce them, your dog will repeat them. Dogs repeat behaviors that work. They are amoral and opportunistic. Be a good teacher for your dog. Be consistent in your criteria and meet your dog where they are at in regards to their learning. Punishment in the form of pain or fear are not needed to train your dog. Try to take away what your dog wanted if they are doing something inappropriate. What we ignore tends to go away. Don't talk, touch, or look at your dog when they are doing an inappropriate attention-seeking behavior. Reinforcement could be treats, praise, or attention, toys, or access to people or areas the dog wants to see. Management and supervision. Management means we are preventing problem behaviors before they happen through the use of tools/equipment like gates, crates, leashes, tethers, or barriers. If your dog is 2 years or younger, constant management and supervision is actively paying attention to your dog is needed to prevent the learning of bad behaviors. We still need to make sure that our dog's needs are being met if we use management. It is better to stop bad behaviors and not let your dog practice them than put them in situations where they are constantly getting triggered or practicing bad patterns. So think about areas where you don't have time for training to manage your dog to prevent problem behaviors from arising, especially for puppies. This is very important for house training, for inappropriate chewing. We do not want to give our dogs too much freedom before they can handle it. Some dogs, in certain situations, might need a little bit of help. So some calming aids can help situationally, or if your dog has stress. So Thunder Ease or Thunder Calm is a synthetic pheromone that they derive from a pheromone a mother dog releases when she's nursing. That comes in a collar, it comes in a diffuser, and it comes in a spray. And you can use it situationally for a little bit of stress. Composure or Composure Pro is a daily chew. It has things like L-theanine and chamomile that have a calming effect on the dog. And then Purina Pro Plan Calming Care is a probiotic that you put in your dog's food every day, and it helps with the production of things like serotonin. It has a calming effect on your dog. These are the things that I think about in relation to meeting our dog's needs. Every dog needs exercise. So if you don't get your dog enough exercise, they will have all this pent-up extra energy, and often that is directed towards people or inappropriate behaviors. So every dog is different in how much exercise they need, but we need to make sure our dogs are getting daily exercise. We also need mental enrichment or mental stimulation. Our dogs are naturally problem solvers, If we do not stimulate their brains or give them problems to solve, they will try to do that on their own. So it's very important that we provide our dogs with puzzles, enrichment toys, things like that to help keep them mentally stimulated. Personally, I feed my dogs through some sort of mental enrichment or training toy. This allows them to work for their food, keeps them mentally stimulated, burns off some energy, and gives me extra time where my dogs are occupied. It's easy and it's an efficient way to feed your dog. Training. Every dog also needs training, so we teach them what appropriate behaviors we're expecting them to perform. If we don't train our dogs what to do, we can't be mad when they make a bad decision. So on top of giving our dogs exercise and making sure that they are a little tired, giving them mental enrichment and making sure that we fulfill that need, we need to train our dogs every day on what is okay and what is not okay in terms of behavior. And these are a few things that we think are mottos that we should follow. Meeting our dog's needs, how to be a good dog parent. Be fair, predictable, and consistent. Make sure our criteria stays the same so our dogs know what to expect. If distractions are high, lower your expectations and raise your rate of reinforcement. Dogs know safe versus unsafe. Dogs are always learning. Everything is a potential chew toy for a young dog, so manage them. Set your dog up for success. Don't put them in situations where they will constantly make bad decisions or they have not been trained. Reward behaviors that you want to see again. Hunt for good behaviors. Don't only notice your dog when they're being bad. Notice them when they're being good. Redirect your dog when needed. Manage the environment. Try to always end on a success. So we're going to talk about our homework next, and I will include some links to some videos where you can see us doing these exercises as well, but I'll talk about them here. The first thing that you're going to do is prime your clicker or your marker. So a clicker is a small device that makes a distinct clicking sound, and it is used in dog training to mark the exact moment a dog does something correctly. Think of it as taking a picture of your dog's behavior that you want to reward. You don't have to use a clicker. You could also do a verbal marker, like a word good or yes. But why do we like clickers? Clear communication. Dogs don't understand human language right away, so a clicker acts as a consistent and precise way to communicate. It doesn't sound like anything else in the dog's world. Instant feedback. Click tells the dog exactly what it did right in the moment. This helps them learn faster. And then it's positive reinforcement. Every time you click and you follow it with a treat or a reward, the dog quickly learns that hearing the click means they did something good or something right, and some good consequence will follow it. So we like clickers. We will give you a clicker with a treat pouch. You do not have to use a clicker, though. You can just condition a verbal marker. Your homework, though, is to condition a marker for your dog, whether that's a word or if you want to use a clicker. These are the steps to teach the dog what it means. So choose a home base. You do not want to be holding treats out in front of your dog. So choose a location to put your hand so it's not in your treat pouch or in your pocket. You could put it behind your back, on your side, or at your chest. Your hand should go back to this location after you use your marker. The first thing we're going to do, we call charging the clicker or the marker. You want to click or say your marker, pause a second, then deliver a treat to your dog's nose. Give them that treat. And repeat this over and over, making sure that the marker happens before you move to give the dog the reward. Mark the behavior. When the dog does something you like sits calmly in front of you, that's when you would click or mark right the moment that they do that behavior. Then, after clicking, follow it up with some sort of reinforcement. A treat, play with a toy, attention. Over time, your dog will understand that certain actions earn a click, like a treat, and they will learn that that click means something good is happening. Name recognition. This is the first exercise that you're going to do. You don't need to use a clicker for this. How do we train it? Say your dog's name one time, then give them a treat. Say your dog's name in different tones of voice. If we only practice when we're happy and cheerful, your dog will respond to their name at that time, but not in other situations. We want to practice in different locations. And then we have a couple of rules. Don't repeat your dog's name over and over again without a response, and don't use your dog's name as a punishment. If a lot of the time the dog hears their name and they think something bad is going to happen, they will not like hearing their name. The next thing that we're going to do is capturing some eye contact. For this exercise, you want to hold a treat out to your side, extend your arm out. Your dog is going to start looking at that treat. If they bark at it, if they jump at it, if they do anything inappropriate, you take the treat and put it behind your back. If the dog stops looking at the treat and looks at you, you click the second they offer that eye contact. Ignore any other behavior. Don't say your dog's name. Don't make a noise. Allow them to start to offer that eye contact. And we will include a video again for all these exercises. And then the final thing is a watch behavior. So after you warm your dog up by getting them to offer some eye contact, start to say your dog's name and then give them a watch cue. So you can toss a treat away to reset them. After your dog eats the treat, wait for your dog to turn around and look at you. When they offer the eye contact, click, then toss a treat again. Once they start to do this, start to say watch, point to your nose or eye area, click and treat when they offer the eye contact. So these are your homework assignments. If you have any questions as you practice or an exercise isn't, you're not sure what to do, don't hesitate to reach out with the questions. You can email us or give us a call at any time. And we are looking forward to seeing you in class next week. Happy training, everybody.